Hi everyone, welcome back to the Sports Breakdown once again. So it's the first video of the IPL Mega Auctions. We have to discuss on the second 2020 between Australia versus Sri Lanka because it was an entertaining match. We've seen a super. We witnessed a super over after a long time, and this was a perfect match. And unfortunately, Sri Lanka screwed up the super over, and credits should go to Josh Hazelwood. But we brought in Jack from the Dibbly Dobbly Podcast once again to discuss on the Australia versus Sri Lanka second 2020 review. And congratulations once again to the Dibbly Dobbly Podcast for reaching 300 subscribers. And please do subscribe to his channel because he does awesome content on cricket. He does discussions. Discussions on mental health. He discusses with umpires on Australia cricket and general cricket. And yeah, he has done a fabulous job to his channel, and keep it up, Jack. And I hope your channel reaches further heights. And congratulations once again for your achievement.
Thanks so much, Pal, for those kind words. It's great to be back discussing all things Australia and Sri Lanka, an exciting match, and we're going to get into that in this. But thank you so much for those kind words.
Yeah. So what a match. As we said, it was match tied and Australia won the super over eliminator. Unfortunately, I would have liked if Sri Lanka won, but well done to Australia once again. Josh Hazelwood once again was phenomenal. I think he's one of one of the best fast bowlers currently going on in form. He's been so consistent in both 2020 matches. So without further ado, let's analyze on the match. Do a review on that. So Australia batted first once again. If I'm not mistaken, they won the toss, right? Australia overseas Sri Lanka.
I'm not sure who won the toss. I didn't quite catch the toss. I was busy doing other things, of course.
Even I was busy on the IPL auctions. I'll just check who won the toss. Yeah. Wait. Wait. Give me a sec. Sri Lanka won the toss for the second time because first 2020 also they won, and for the second 2020 also they won the toss and chose to field first. So your thoughts on the Australia first innings? 164 for 6. I think that was a better score than the first 2020. But did you see a change in that SCG pitch compared to the first 2020?
I don't think it changed all that much. Maybe a little bit warm because we've already had 40 overs of cricket in the first game. So when you play on a pitch that's been played on for 40 overs, it's going to get a bit tired. But I don't think it changed all that much. Australia were a bit poor with the bat again. We lost wickets at regular intervals, just like in the first game. A bit rusty. We haven't played since the World Cup, T20 World Cup final. So you're going to be a bit rusty. But I don't think the pitch changed all that too much. I think it was a good surface. And unfortunately for Australia, we just stumbled a bit, but were able to get up to that 164 score, which was not enough in the end because it went to a super over. But it was a good effort.
Do you think it was a better effort compared to the first 2020? In the first 2020, we saw only Ben McDermott actually getting a 50. But this match, do you think that all the Australian batsmen contributed compared to the first 2020?
Well, I thought this innings and the last innings were a similar pattern. Wickets were falling, batsmen were getting starts, and were a bit rusty and not really flowing well. McDermott got a 50 in the first game. Inglis in his second game got 48.
48.
And really, it was only one batsman who really did, who contributed to the innings, whereas the other batsmen, they chipped in a little bit, but not really a big contribution. Matthew Wade in the end boosted that score up to 164, which helped Australia in the end. But the both games, the batting performance from Australia, it's still a bit rusty. They can improve definitely heading into the third, fourth, and fifth game of the series. They won't be happy about these two batting performances, even though they've won. It's still a bit.
But don't you think missing David Warner, and Mitchell Marsh is contributing a bit to this Australian batting lineup right now?
They're two good players. Obviously, a lot of people were surprised when Marsh and Warner were left out, especially Marsh. And he's been in good form in the BBL for the Scorchers. But you got to think ahead. Obviously, we're going to Pakistan, and we need him fresh. And David Warner's not getting any younger, so give McDermott an opportunity at the top of the order. and give Inglis a go. Because if Marsh and Warner are in the side, McDermott, Inglis don't get a go, obviously. Obviously, now with Steve Smith with that concussion, we'll talk about that a bit later,
big blow.
that opens up another spot as well in the batting order. But yeah, those two are definitely a big loss for Australia, but really Australia just a bit rusty, that's all.
And talking about the batting order, Jack, I mean, talking about this Australian batting order, don't you feel like Steve Smith could have actually better at number 3? I'm not discrediting crediting Josh English's innings yesterday, but don't you feel like this is the best opportunity for Steve Smith to actually contest Middlemarsh for that number 3 spot, perhaps by proving with some innings, because this is a 5-match 2020 series, and to see that old Steve Smith back? I know, unfortunately, now he's under a concussion, but don't you think the coaching staff of Australia could have placed Steve Smith at number 3?
Yeah, obviously with Smith, we know he's struggled in T20s because of his batting and how he plays. Obviously, he chews up a lot of deliveries. He's sort of the anchor role for Australia in this Australian side. So whenever Australia gets off to a good start, he's going to shift down the order. Even the commentators said, hang on, how come Steve Smith's coming in now? We should send up Stoinis or Wade, because you can't waste those power hitters. Steve Smith is not a power hitter. He's a manipulator. He works the gaps. He's the anchor role. So he's going to keep sliding down. They want Mitchell Marsh to bat at number 3. That's a clear plan. And I think he should stay at number 3. Obviously, Josh Inglis is batting at number 3.
But I meant as a backup, Jack. I meant as a backup, whether you can test Steve Smith to play as number 3, perhaps for him to come back to the playing 11 in case if Middlemarsh gets injured, because we know his injury record in the past as well.
Yeah, they may consider that. They may have Smith at 3. He's usually batted at number 3 in the past, I think, at T20s. But Australia's first priority is that we want Marsh at 3 and Smith to be that floater, anchor role sort of batsman in this side, because of the way he plays in strike rate. You know, what did he strike in this match? 93. So whereas Wade and Stoinis and Maxwell, they strike higher than him. So he's always going to shift down the order. But if Marsh is injured, then Smith will be considered to be a replacement for him at number 3. Going long-term into T20 World Cup, just in case, you never know, may pick up an injury. So he may slot back into number 3. But they want Marsh to be that number 3, and he's done pretty well. And you know, you don't want to change.
Also, are you concerned on Maxwell's form? I mean, the first 2 2020s, him getting dismissed by spinners. I mean, first 2020, Hasaranga bowled that round arm spinning, if I'm not mistaken, round arm action and got Maxwell out. He tried to attempt a 6 and he went to the fielder. Second 2020, he got dismissed by Tikshana. So, did you expect a bit more from Maxwell, especially at number 4 with his recent form in the BBL? Discussing on the first 2 matches.
Yes, you expect big things from Maxwell, but it just happens in T20 cricket. You cash in and then you don't cash in. He batted well in the Big Bash when he got that 150 odd the Stars against the Hurricanes, which was a good innings. Obviously, he, felt a bit ill, obviously, when, that thing happened in the Big Bash, obviously, in this world that we're living in at the moment. So he felt a bit under the weather, probably still recovering from that. Some other factors as well, probably just, he wasn't really on. It just happens as a batsman. You're either on or you're not. And he dropped a few catches in the field as well in this match, which is unlike Maxwell. So, it's only game 2. There's 3 games to go. So let's hope he can get kicked. Sorry, I'm trying to get my words out. Hopefully he can... sorry about that.
No problem.
Get going and hopefully lift the strike rate up and get Australia into a good position in this series.
Yeah. And talk about the bowling of Sri Lanka that you've seen. I mean, Nuwan Pradeep, it was his first match, and I know he conceded 16 runs in that final over. But before that, I mean, Malinga's influence also has helped. I mean, Chamika Karunaratne and Dushman Chamira. But that in the, death overs, it was a bit poor from Sri Lanka. Especially the final over from Tushara. But the other bowlers, considering, forget about Tushara's those 40 runs, but considering the other 4 bowlers, how good were they to this Australian batting lineup?
I thought Sri Lanka bowled well. They really gave themselves an opportunity in this match and in game number 1. they all did their roles. At times they were a bit sloppy. They bowled inconsistent. They leaked runs, which is the problem. And you can't do that in T20 cricket, especially towards the end of the innings where Wade teed off and, were able to push up that score to 164 for Australia. But I thought everyone, did their role. But they just need to tidy up a few things, with their bowling. Don't leak too many.
Unfortunately, I think Vinura Fernando got positive for COVID-19, so that's why Nuwan Tushara got his debut game, and especially with your debut, feeling the pressure in Australia. Unfortunate, he should have been played in Sri Lanka for some 2020 matches, but that didn't happen, especially the Zimbabwe ODI series. But coming to Australia on your debut, especially Jack, it isn't easy, right? For a bowler for a fast bowler.
No, it's not. Especially if you haven't played here before and you don't know the conditions. Obviously, watching him, he's got a bit of Lasif Malinga about him, doesn't he? He's got that influence, sort of same action like Lasif, that round arm slingy action. 1 for 40 from his 4, on debut. That's your first game, Don't be discouraged by that. T20 cricket going to go the journey. It's his first time in Australia, first time in the national team. He's a young guy, I'm guessing. So, learn from it and move on and try and get better. And hopefully he will have a good career for Sri Lanka.
And we have the other 4 bowlers who have all IPL contracts over here, performing very well in Australia right now, especially Hasaranga. Theekshana was not that good in the first game when I was watching. He was bowling some wide deliveries, but still today, yesterday I was very impressed, especially Charmik. I've been very, very impressed with his bowling. Especially in the 2020s, bowling those yorkers. If I'm not mistaken, he yoked one batsman, if I can't remember who, in the first 2020, but they've been bowling. It's really good to see our Sri Lankan bowlers do a challenge in the Australian team right now, seeing their status in the 2020 rankings also, and it doesn't justify their rankings at all right now.
Yeah, it does. They've really fought well with the ball in the series thus far. They're giving themselves a chance. They're going to be tested, especially against Australia. But it's good for their bowlers to get used to these conditions because the T20 World Cup's later on in the year, October, November in Australia. So for them, they've got to get used to the conditions, what lines, what lengths to bowl on different surfaces. Obviously, here in Sydney, we move to Canberra. And then we go to Melbourne. So they're different conditions. You've got to bowl different lengths, lines on those types of surfaces because they play differently. But, they're showing a lot of promise. They've got some talent, but they need to fix up a few areas with their bowling. And then they can be a very good bowling attack, can win games for Sri Lanka, but they just need to tidy up those areas.
Yeah, I agree. I really agree. So let's go to the second innings actually. And I was very impressed at last to see someone stepping up at last. Bit not happy with this 2-3-4. Right now, Pathum Nissanka, he's all 3 format. Your thoughts on Pathum Nissanka, because he's been tremendous, especially in the last year. His adaptability, especially from Test cricket. From 2020 World Cup to Test cricket in West Indies, he scored a half century, if I'm not mistaken, in that first Test. Again, his adaptability. He didn't have a good LPL season, the Lanka Premier League season going on. He was not good, and people were telling Pathum Nissanka to be dropped from his playing 11. But again, he's justifying himself and scored a wonderful 73 yesterday. So your thoughts on that innings yesterday from Pathum Nissanka?
It was an important knock because, he needed to stand up. They were losing wickets again, Sri Lanka, like they were in the first game. But he's a very good player. He hit some very good balls over the rope for 6. He's a serious player. Not mistaken, he did well in the T20 World Cup as well for Sri Lanka. So he's a serious talent. His innings of 73 was important, and his partnership with Shanaka, the captain, as well. Without those 2 knocks, Sri Lanka wouldn't have got close to, winning this match. Obviously, they took it to a super over, which is great.
10 extras
but just finishing off on Nissanka, for him, it's about consistency and trying to back up these performances. But he can be a match winner for Sri Lanka and win games off his own bat. He nearly did. When he was walking off, he didn't want to walk off because he was disappointed. That's what you want to see from batsmen. I should have tried harder. But don't be hard on yourself. You nearly got the team over the line. But you just need other people to help your to help you, really. And that's what Sri Lanka need to improve on. He needs support. The rest of the batsmen need to step up because the first two games have been poor.
Very true. And Rasun Shanaka, good to see him. I'm not seeing innings like that after, I don't know, I'm not seeing it for some time. I mean, especially in 2020 cricket, performing in 2020 international matches. Dasun Shanaka, that contribution, that partnership we need to talk about between Nisanka and Shanaka. I mean, that was, very, very crucial for Sri Lanka. And they should, Australia could have. Been better towards, better tactics towards Nisanka and Shanaka, don't you think so?
Yes, because that partnership was an important partnership for
48
Sri
of
Lanka.
31, yeah.
Yeah, which Australia, they didn't quite get it right towards the end of this match with the bowling, and therefore went to a super over. So the tactics were wrong. I think we were just a bit sloppy towards the end. You know, Marcus Stoinis and Kane Richardson leaked runs. Marcus Stoinis bowled the last over of the match. So he didn't have a great last over, which was, pretty poor. But Australia should have really finished the game off earlier. Look, the game was already done earlier, because Sri Lanka were, from the top of my head, I can't remember, but, they were behind the rate and it was like getting 10, 12, and that's very hard to achieve in a T20 match when it gets up to there. But then Sri Lanka, the partnership between Nisanka, Shanaka, then the tail did their job. They went out and scored some runs. But Australia, very poor. Very lucky to get out of this match the way they did, but it could have been a lot different if they just executed their skills well, because it was, up until that point, it was a good game for Australia in terms of the ball. The bat was okay, but, Stoinis bowling that last server, very, very poor, in my opinion.
But how good is Josh Hazelwood, especially in the two 2020s you've seen so far? And his form in the last 4 months or 5 months have been phenomenal, especially the 2020 World Cup, IPL. Now the leading matches to Australia. Right now he's not even, I don't think even one match he hasn't performed inconsistently, in my opinion. He's been so good for Australia right now.
Yeah, he has. You got to remember that he couldn't get into this side a few years ago because of his predictability, which you need for Test cricket. You need that consistency, whereas in T20 cricket, you need to change it up, your pace and your lines and your lengths, different variations. For him, he's reinvented himself. No wonder he went for big money in the IPL auction recently for RCB, and they're very lucky to have him, and they'll be very happy to see how he bowled in that super over in this second match. They'll be saying we struck gold with Hazelwood, and RCB are going to be a force to reckon with. Their bowling attack, they've also got
brilliant.
A brilliant attack there, but
Mohammad Siraj, So with those
he bowled well, very consistent. We're just so lucky to have him. He's reinvented himself. He really has. He's very consistent. That super over, those two Yorkers he bowled pretty much sealed the super over there for Australia. For Sri Lanka, pressure, and then the run out happened. Then they lost another wicket. That was the end of the super over, and then Australia chased down the total in the end. But his over, that super over, and his spell was very crucial in terms of Australia winning this match. And, he's a match winner.
Very true. But someone has commented over here, we had almost 5 umpire calls against us. Definitely there's something wrong, right? So your thoughts actually, Jack, and also combining with that, the umpire calls, especially that wide. Should it have been a wide actually for Sri Lanka in that last over of Stoinis in their first delivery?
Oh, yeah, it was 50-50, wasn't it? It was on the line. That's a guideline for the umpires, that line for wides. Look, as an umpire myself, I've got to stand up for the brotherhood a bit and back my fellow umpire. But no, in that situation where the match is on the line, as an umpire, you've got to make a split-second decision, right? You see it in fast motion, really. You don't have the luxury of the replays like we do at home or the commentators. and everyone said it was a wide and going mad and all that stuff. But it should have been a wide, in my opinion. It did look borderline. It was on the
Mm,
outside of that wide line, and yeah, unfortunately for Sri Lanka, that call went against them.
yeah.
So that's probably where the game, turned. But you
Mm,
need that to go your way, and a bit of luck. So they need that luck. But unfortunately, that's just the way it goes in cricket. The umpire's going to make a good call, bad call. It happens, but we've got to move on. And you can't
yeah.
dwell on that. Sri Lanka,
Yeah.
other areas of this game where they were really let down. Their bowling at
Yeah.
parts and also their batting. So they've only got themselves to blame. So we've got to move on and, continue on.
Satvik, your thoughts on that umpire call and the wide, especially in that final over, and yeah,
Um,
those umpire calls.
I'm really sorry that I haven't watched the match, so I can't relate more to it. But what I watched was the super over part, which was excellent by Hazelwood. Those 5 runs and get 3 dot balls to start with for Shanak, and then that
Mm,
run out of Dinesh Chandimal, which was unfortunate. But in this
yeah.
series, what I can see is Sri Lanka are turning out very difficult and dangerous for Australians.
Very true. Yeah. Johan doesn't agree with what Jack was saying. He's saying if this happens to India, Indians
True.
would be furious with that call.
Any day, the Twitter, you would check the Twitter. There'd be 100 people tweeting and 500 people retweeting that.
That is true. That is true. I agree with that. Yeah. At least we accept the mistake. I mean, the umpires, and we need to move on to the next match, obviously. But yeah, we need to talk about Steve Smith, that concussion, especially, and that valiant effort. I mean, unfortunate incident for Steve Smith, and that was a six eventually. But Jack, your thoughts? I mean, this is really bad. I mean, for Steve Smith for the rest of the series, this was the series for him to prove also, for him to come to the playing 11, and now he'll be ruled out for the rest of the series. So your thoughts on that concussion and yeah, the incidents that happened.
Yeah, well, it was a brilliant effort. In the end, he didn't save 6 runs; it was 6. It should have
Yeah,
been not a 6, in my opinion, but the umpire saw it differently. The third umpire. So
yeah,
for Smith, knocking his head in that effort wasn't good. It was horrible to see that.
yeah, yeah.
But he's okay. He's in good spirits, which is good. Missing the series, but for him, it's about Pakistan now. For him, for Australia's next Test series, Australia want him ready for Pakistan. Give someone else an opportunity in this Australian team. But yeah, it's unfortunate that he got concussed, but it was a brilliant effort. He committed to the dive, which you
Mm,
need to do in the field. Unfortunately, his
yeah,
head just hit the turf, but he's in good
yeah.
spirits. That's good news. And we wish him
Mm,
all the best in his recovery.
I agree. Johan here says, will Steve Smith's 2020 career come to an end fast? Your thoughts, and then we'll come to Satvik as well.
Will his career end in T20 cricket? He'll
Should he
always
just
have a
focus on Test cricket? Should he just focus on Test cricket? Because I don't know whether he has a place in the 2020 lineup when David Warner and Marsh come back also. So there is a doubt on that.
He should, because as a player playing all 3 formats, it's getting a bit difficult now with the schedules, and you've got to make a choice. So for Smith, he's definitely suited to Test cricket and ODIs more so than T20s. As you said, when Warner and Marsh come back, you've got other players as well, like Inglis, and where do you fit him in? He'll probably make that decision in due course. Not
Mm,
right now. I think he'll be a part of the squad for the T20 World Cup later this year, because he does have a
yeah.
place in this side, as the anchor role, just in case Australia get into trouble. But for the long-term prospects, I think he'll just focus on Test matches and give up T20s, like some other players will have to do in this modern era. Playing all 3 formats is just not viable anymore.
Yeah. Satvik, your thoughts? I mean, we'll come to Satvik because he hasn't spoken
Yes.
yet. But Satvik, your thoughts on Steve Smith's valiant effort in the field and his concussion, and whether that will derail his opportunities now to get back to this playing level now for Australia.
Hmm. For Steve Smith, I would say he could try very valiant effort that was. I just saw that. A very valiant
Yeah.
effort by Steve Smith. That should not have been six. Jack said it right,
Mm.
but it
Yes.
was
I agree
umpire's
with you.
opinion, and that is the thing. For Steve Smith, as he said, Pakistan would be the biggest tour of his career. I think so, because in Asian conditions, except India, he's not scored runs anywhere except India. So this is a big series for him. And
Mm.
as per his T20 career, if he starts to bowl, leg spin, he's a good leg spinner. He underrates himself, I think, so as a leg spinner, and plays a BBL season. If he can, I'm saying if he can play a
Yeah, but
BBL
I think the
season for the
schedule is
Sixers,
very, very tough.
true,
I mean, the
true.
schedule is very tough. Yeah.
But if he can play half of the season for Sixers, which is I think so 14 matches the whole season.
Yeah, 14
Yeah, I
matches.
think
Yeah.
so. Yeah,
Huh.
14 matches.
So it's really confusing. So if he plays even half of the season and performs, then he can gain confidence that he can play T20 cricket. Otherwise, you could see players getting sold at the last moment and Steve Smith going unsold then as well. Then
Yeah.
this means a lot. His strike rate is low. He doesn't
Mm.
get those 50s regularly. Captaincy is the only positive thing which he had going into this
Yeah.
auction.
Very true. Yeah, Aryan, coming to you also, talking about Steve Smith and his unfortunate concussion and his valiant effort towards the catch. I think also I agree with Jack and Satvik, that was in six when I saw the replays. But yeah, your thoughts on Steve Smith and now missing the rest of the series now. How will this derail his opportunity to come back to the 2020 playing 11? I mean, he can be in the squad, but coming back to the playing 11 won't be easy for him.
Forget about the T20s. I think he needs to focus on Test cricket. That should be his main focus right now because Australia have got three huge tours coming up, including India, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan, where he'll be the integral cog in the batting lineup. So even if he doesn't feature in the whole series, that is not a concern for me. Someone else can replace him, and especially Steve Smith. What is he doing in the middle order? I don't
Yeah.
really know if he's fit for that. He's top three max, and you're playing him at five. No sense for me. Striking
Yeah.
less than 100. That is only going to dampen whatever good start McDermott, Finch, or English give you. So better he should not play and rather place a Stoinis up at five or maybe find a replacement. So he should focus
Hmm.
on the upcoming Pakistan tour.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, Johan here says, what about Finch? Just curious. Jack, your thoughts? I mean, he's been a fabulous captain, but his recent form hasn't been that great. And we spoke about this also in the preview when we discussed about Aaron Finch. But uh, are you concerned right now of Aaron Finch and his form? Right now, his batting form, especially he didn't fire also for Melbourne Renegades. He wasn't captain, but still he didn't fire in that, BBL season this time. But yeah, are you concerned about Aaron Finch right now with his batting?
Yes, he's under pressure. A lot of people are calling for his spot. It's sort of like Owen Morgan, really, sort of with Finch. Good captain, but not contributing with the bat. And both of these
Mm.
players are in their late 30s. And I can't remember how old Finch is, but he's in his late 30s.
35, 36, I think. Yeah,
Yeah, he's
35.
He's
getting on a bit.
35.
He has been a good player. I've seen a couple of brilliant knocks from him.
Yeah.
The 170 odd he got against Zimbabwe in 2018. The one in Southampton when he got 156
Yes.
150.
against England.
Yeah.
He can be a very good player, but he's coming towards the end of his career, and this could be it for Finch. This home T20 World Cup, then you've got a World Cup in India in 2023, the 50 over World Cup. He said he wants to play until then, and they'll probably give it up. But his form is a concern. He's struggling, but that happens in cricket where you get on a bit, you struggle, things start to go, your reaction times, your hand-eye coordination. So he's under pressure. But for him, it's just about trying to believe that I still got it. He has still got it, but he just needs to believe in himself. A bit of mindset, mental side there. So I am concerned a little bit. But as long as he's contributing with the captaincy, then, just like in the case with Owen Morgan, you want him in the side for that, even if he's not
Even that's the kind
contributing
of
with that.
for Sri Lanka also, the same case. Yeah. But Arvind, coming to Johan's point over here about Finch, your thoughts? I mean, his batting form hasn't been good in recent times. I mean, he led Australia to the 2020 World Cup, so that's a great achievement. But Finch as a batsman, I mean, there's several openers up for grabs for Finch's spot. So, your thoughts? I mean, David Warner could easily come in, and then Ben McDermott. I mean, his form has been also terrific, especially that first 2020, even though he failed in this match. So your thoughts on that opening slot? Yeah. Hello. I think Aryan's not there. Okay. Anyway, yeah, Satvik, you can answer that. What
Yes,
I asked to Aryan. Yeah.
yes. For Finch, I would like to say that the Asian bloc, we categorize the captains, especially T20I captains, based on their performance, except Sri Lanka, which has changed currently. Other than that, these Asian blocks, the India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, they think that the best player should be the captain. But on
Mm,
the Western bloc, you have Australia, England, South Africa, and these three sides. They have captains who are captains, or not,
mm,
who don't perform much with a bat or ball. So with Finch, he's a good player, but as Jack said, he's at the fag end of his career. So
Yeah.
T20 World Cup, and then I think so his retirement is sure.
mm. Very true.
True.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree with that. Yeah. But coming to the bowling once again, I mean, we'll talk with Aryan also on this. I mean, Richardson was given a chance for Stark because Stark was expensive and having a rest. So, I mean, Hazelwood and Cummins are doing well. But the third bowling option right now for Australia is also another concern. I mean, the fast bowling option right now for Australia is another concern. I mean, Max Zampa has been doing well in the spin department. But Stark's recent form has been concerning also. And I mean, Hazelwood has been tremendous. We spoke about Hazelwood, but that backup to Hazelwood right now, that partner in crime for Australia right now in their fast bowling department. So your thoughts on that, Aryan?
Maybe they could have tried someone who's done well in the BBL. That is my thought process because you're looking towards the future. I mean, the next T20 World Cup is at home, so maybe a youngster could have been drafted in because if you see, you have enough experience in Cummins and Hazelwood in this bowling lineup, and Stoinis can chip in. But I think Richardson is way past his best, and he's not a good fit at the moment. Maybe you find someone like a Matt Kelly, someone like a Jai Richardson to fit in because, well, obviously they provide much more with the bat also. Someone like a Jai Richardson or
Mm,
AJ Tye is not a bad option in home conditions. He started to clock 140 suddenly, so he's also
yeah.
a decent option. So I think
Even
maybe
Behrendorff is a
these,
good option.
yeah, Behrendorff, a lot of options. So I think someone like a Richardson and Stoinis again, he always brings me in question like 11 crores. Every time I see Stoinis getting bashed, I feel bad for Lucknow because they paid him
Mm.
11, 10 crores and
But
now
I mean, he's a good finisher though. He's a good finisher though.
see,
That
our
we can't forget for
finishing
Australia.
finishing is another thing. But if you pay 11 crores, 10 crores to a player, you expect at least 2 overs out of him, especially in
True,
the
true.
IPL because if only you put the load on Holder in that side, then the bowling looks a bit weak, and Stoinis
Mm.
might be needed in a few situations. So Stoinis needs to
Mm,
really
I agree.
jump up on his bowling. And Jack, why did he bowl the last over?
I think you're lagging. Aryan. Okay. Yeah. I
I
think
agree
he's
with
asking
Aryan's
why
point.
did.
Please
Okay,
explain because I didn't get it.
it's lagging, lagging.
Yeah, am I
I
audible
think
now?
he asked. I think Aryan asked why did Stoinis bowl the last over? What's the thought process of that from Finch?
Well, I think he bowled Hazelwood in the 19th over to kill the game, basically, because, well, no, but
Yeah.
that's the right tactic to go with because Sri Lanka were
Mm,
behind at that stage. You want to bring your best bowler on. Don't wait until the 20th over because the game could be gone. If you bowl
yes,
Stornis in that period in the 19th over, they could hit, I don't know how many runs they needed. And then
I agree.
Hazelwood's worthless in the last over because the game's already gone.
Mm,
So he came in with Hazelwood to kill the game and just seal it. Because if you need to get 20 runs off the last over, That's very difficult to get, with the
Very
tail.
true. Yeah.
So that's why Hazelwood bowled the 19th over, and that's why Stornis bowled the last over. It's not a bad thing that Stornis bowled the last over, because you want to give players a go in these positions to see what they are, what they do under pressure. And to me, he was a bit expensive. He bowled a wide the first ball. That didn't set the tone well for the last over. And that pretty much, cost us in the end. Well, not really, but it shouldn't have gone to a super over. If you give it to someone who was a deaf specialist, it would have been different. But I can see why
I
Finch
think they were
wanted to
missing
do.
Stark in this game, I would say. I think they were missing Stark in that crucial
And
moment, I
also,
would
Pat
say.
Cummins is not your gun death bowler.
No, he's not.
Yeah. I agree.
Sort of,
Yes.
if Mitchell Stark was in, then he would have bowled that last over with his Yorkers, not Marcus Stornis. But seeing that he was
For
out,
sure.
we had to go with that.
Yeah. And Naveen has said Nathan Ellis would be good. Aryan, your thoughts on Nathan Ellis? I think he was bought by Punjab, right? If I'm not mistaken, in the
Yes,
auctions.
this time as well.
Yeah, Punjab Kings.
Yes,
Yeah. So your
Nathan
thoughts on
Ellis,
Nathan
yes,
Ellis?
but Pawan, I feel still he's a good lad. Good lad. Won us a game at the death. Very impressed with him. The number of variations, but still I would say work in progress. Give him another year and he'll do good. I think still a bit work in progress. If you ask me, 70, 80, 75% done. A bit 25% again. If he can, crank up that pace, be more experienced. So I think he reads the game well, because in the game he won us at Sharjah, he knew that you're not gonna, succeed if you give pace to holder. So he basically kept it at slower balls, which means he knows the situation at the death, and he can be a very good death prospect for Australia going in the
Yeah,
future.
very true. Rohan here says
I
these games
wanted
in
to add a
Australia.
point, Pawan,
Yeah,
before you
sure,
go.
sure.
Riley Meredith, I think so. He has a genuine
Very,
prospect, and
yeah,
as Jack would have seen him in the Hobart Hurricane side, Matthew Wade always gives the end overs to Riley Meredith, and he has been excellent, more than Nathan Ellis. Nathan Ellis has been just for 1 2 years, but Meredith has been there for the last 3 to 4 seasons, and I think so. His pace with the slow one is a good addition. You can try Riley Meredith before Nathan Ellis.
Hmm. Valid points. Valid points. Yeah. We discussed on this also, Rohan. These games in Australia will make Sri Lanka players better, irrespective of results. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. I think me and Jack
5 players
discussed
in the
about it.
IPL
Yeah. Yeah.
with one Mahesh
And five
Tikshana.
players. Yeah, I mean Chennai. Yeah, Chennai Super Kings. Let's hope that they'll try those players in the 3 year period at least.
Another
Yeah.
better in the lineup.
Yeah, but about this new penalty rule, Jack, we'll come to you on this. I mean, Sri Lanka becomes the first team, I think, to suffer this new restrictions done in 2020 cricket. I mean, they were restricted for 4 fielders inside the line, I mean, inside the circle, because, I mean, inside the 30-yard circle, because I think because of the time delay, if I'm not mistaken, I think they were not up to the time yesterday, and I think I think the match of officials fined, I think, all the players 20%, if I'm not mistaken, after the match. So your thoughts on Sri Lanka being too slow yesterday and obviously got under these rules yesterday?
Well, it's doing what it's meant to be doing, and that's penalising teams for slow over rates. I like it,
Yeah.
and I think it's proactive from the ICC to copy what they did in the 100. Now, that's what they did in the 100, and it worked. So
Yeah.
you got to bowl your overs quicker. Otherwise, you're going to lose a fielder outside the circle, are you? And that's what happened to Sri Lanka. So, for them, they've got to bowl their overs faster in the next 3 games. Otherwise, they don't want to be fined again. Players won't like that. The captain won't like that. But I think it's good from the ICC that they brought this in, because you think about it, T20 matches go for 3 hours, but they go for 4.5 hours. You don't want to be there for 4.5 hours. So I think the IPL's cracked down on it as well with over rates. Now the ICC, this is the biggest problem in the game, is over rates. The players
And
have
I
to
think
take.
Sri Lanka is a good fan. Sri Lanka is a team that will regret this actually, because they are very slow when it comes to all this overrate and I mean, it was when this rule was put. I mean, Sri Lanka was the first team to be disappointed, I would say, with these rules because they're too slow when it comes to their change up of bowlers and especially the captain making the changes. I mean, fielding placements also. So yeah, it affected the team. But I mean, are you a fan of this? What ICC have imposed right now on this new overrates? Yeah, new overrates timings. Yeah,
Is that me?
yeah,
Okay.
Jack. Yes, yes,
Oh, okay.
Uh,
yeah,
Sorry about
uh,
that. Just got a bit lost there. Um,
yeah.
yeah, so yeah, I am a fan of it because you've got to crack down on overrates. As I said before, it's just ridiculous that a T20 match is meant to go for 3 hours, goes for 4 hours. A test match meant to go for 6 hours, and you go for 7.5 hours while the over's in. You know, the players have to take responsibility and they have to be proactive. I'm sorry, these are the new playing conditions. And if you're not going to bowl your overs quickly in the time, you're going to get penalised and you're going to get
Mm,
fined. And that should be a deterrent for all captains. Hey, you know, be proactive. Change ends quickly between overs. You should know where you're going to be in the field. You've already discussed that before the game. We should know
yeah.
what bowlers we're going to bring on. And the captain should just, you know, make some hand signals and everyone respond to that. If you're not looking at the
Yeah.
captain, then you're not focusing on the game. So I do like it from the ICC, and it's a good step in the right direction for overrates. And hopefully this will solve the problem.
Mm, very true. Aryan, your thoughts on these new overrate penalties that ICC has imposed, and Sri Lanka, obviously, as we know, will always be the first team to obviously go under this. But your thoughts on this new overrate penalty, and then Sri Lanka, the whole team got a 20% fine. In addition, Nisank also got a Dermot point cut also because of his inappropriate language. So, your thoughts on this?
No, I think Jack summed it up pretty well. If the rules are there, you're gonna abide by them. Uh, as simple as that. And if you don't, you get penalized. Like not in cricket, but just in any other sport. You know, the rules are there, and you can argue. You can see, Shanaka arguing, but uh, the decision has been made, and obviously,
Yeah.
that's the thing.
Yeah, yes,
And
yeah, you can't help it. Yeah, so
in,
yeah.
in test match, you can understand it going for 7 hours only if there's a possibility of a result. I can then understand the overs being extended. And I don't know if we take extra time, that why don't we get the full overs in? Why don't we get the full 90 overs in each day? We just see 88, 87 overs being bowled, and that is something teams need to look in test cricket also. Not even, in forget the rain delays and all, but I think ICC is trying to zero down it, and I think more rules will be made, not only for T20 cricket, but you will see Test cricket also, getting more rules like this, which is good for the game.
Very good. I think I KKR fan. I think Satvik can answer this. Chamika and Karunaratne the next Andre Russell. I know Ayush is a KKR fan, and obviously Chamika Karunaratne just got signed by Kolkata Knight Riders here. But your
oh,
thoughts? I don't agree with this right now. But Satvik, your
this is
thoughts?
a really big, and I can't say, but a really big statement. This, and this is not a true statement, honestly, because Chamika bowls 130, whereas Russell at his best can bowl 140, and Russell is an explosive best. Don't compare Russell. First thing first.
Yeah.
Don't compare Andrew Russell with anyone else. He is a
Very
different
true.
beast at its on his day.
I don't
And
think anyone
Chamika's
can
a
compare
good
Andre
guy,
Russell.
good all rounder. I think so. KKR
See, I
have got
think
him
what
cheap
he's
and
trying to
kept him
get
well.
at is he's saying that Chamika might become the player if KKR persists with him for the next 3 to 4 years. He might become, and he might fulfill the slot that Russell used to, and not like be like Russell, because Russell is again different commodity, but fulfill that role of finishing off games for KKR. I think that is a appropriate, if you just want to say comparison, that is an appropriate statement rather than saying that Chamika will become a Andre Russell. Andre Russell is he's been a goat of T20 cricket. So yeah.
Mm. No, I don't think we can compare Andre Russell. That's a very big
But
statement.
as Aryan said, I think so. That's a very good point. If KKR back Chamika just like they did Russell and Narayan in 2012, 13, 14, till today's date. I think so. Chamika can do good. His bowling is
Very true.
not
Yeah.
bad. His 130s are very good for
Very
subcontinent conditions. His batting is also good. If he can improve, then he could turn into not an Andhra Russell but a better player.
Very true.
Mm,
So we go to the preview of the Australia versus Sri Lanka third 2020
I
match.
wanted to
We'll
ask a
take
question
it
as well
quickly.
to Jack.
Yeah, sure, Satvik. Yeah,
Someone
you can.
asked about Steve Smith's replacement. Travis Head is
Yeah.
coming, I think so, in the third or fourth T20 international.
Can we
So after
say
the
the full
Sheffield games,
score?
so what do you think as an
I was
option? Because he's
dead.
not been performing in the BBL. His inconsistent appearances in the BBL since that
Yeah.
BBL 7-8 finals, where the strikers went through to the finals, and since then he's not the same T20 player. Lost his IPL contract and lots of things have happened. So, what do you think about Travis Head's T20 career?
It's an interesting one. When he came back for the Strikers in this BBL, he wasn't really firing on all cylinders. Um, Alex Carey did, but not Travis Head. He's been out of the side for a while now. I think, what was the last T20 he played? 2018, I think. Something like that. So
Something
he
like
hasn't been in the side for a while. Obviously, he wasn't a part of the squad for the first two games because he was playing for South Australia against Victoria in that Sheffield Shield match, which just concluded recently, and I think he's playing the ODI. No, he's not. I think he's rejoining the squad. I think for the rest of the series, but it'd be interesting if they do recall him. Who else we got? We got Moses Enriques in there. He may get an
Yeah.
opportunity to replace Smith.
Yeah. Yes, we have Moises
Um,
Henry.
so
but he's performed at three for the Sixers this season, so I'm
But
still
I
doubtful
think
about
he
his.
can play at five, right? Satvik, I think he can play at five,
He
though still
can
even
play,
for
no
the
doubts. He can play, but his performances this season have come at three. And as age is going up and up for Henriquez, I think so. He could be a doubtful sort of player at five.
Is this the full Australian squad or is there someone below this
no. This
list?
is the
No,
full
no, this is the
Australian
full
squad.
Australia. So,
Oh, okay. Then I was thinking some Moises Hendricks, but again, he's a bit of a top order man. But again, Travis Head is the only fit at the moment for Steve Smith. And I think if he's given the role like he given in the test team, just to go out there, express himself, he can do well. And he doesn't need those big knocks at number five. He just needs the
Yeah.
10 ball 20, 15 ball
Mm,
30 to 200, 180 strike rate. So I think his
great.
current
Great.
form on current form is good enough player to provide those kind of innings, that
Mm,
Travis had. So yeah, not a bad replacement. And plus, don't forget he always gives you one or two overs in the middle if you need them. And especially if
yeah.
Sri Lanka are having the number of left-handers they bring, his off spin might be handy.
But don't forget, I think most likely Kusal Mendes will be back in the tomorrow's match. So I think he'll replace Danushka. I think tomorrow with how Kusal Mendes performed in the Lanka Premier League. I think he's back after COVID. So I think most likely Kusal Mendes will replace Danushka tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. It
I
will
don't
happen,
know
I
why,
think.
but I want Lianage to get a game. Really want Janit Lianage to get a game. That guy.
Yeah, maybe Chandimal can. I mean, Chandimal played a good knock, so I wouldn't make Chandimal go in my
Chandimal, I think
opinion.
so, played a good knock in the first match.
Yeah, that's what. So I
I
won't.
think
Yeah,
so.
that's what I won't
He's the
replace.
only finisher in Sri Lanka currently.
Maybe
So I
Avishka
won't.
can be replaced by Janit Lineage because Avishka has a very poor 2020 average. Seeing his 2020 average, I think was about 15 or
Why
16,
is
and when
he
I
still
look at
batting at
his,
3 and 4?
I don't get it. I really don't get it. That's why, as Aryan said, I think Janit Lineage should get a chance in my opinion
Hmm.
because I mean, when you're bringing youngsters to the Australian tour, I think before this 2020 World Cup, I think it's the best time to test these players also. When you have a five-match 2020 series, which you never get. I mean, it's the first time Sri Lanka has got an opportunity like this. So, I mean, Avishka should be replaced, and I think Danushka, I think his two 2020 innings didn't convince me. So, I think Kusal should be back, in my opinion. Yeah. The top four haven't been firing, so they need to change it. And yeah, Benuja is saying, do you see Lahiru by any chance playing the third game? I think that was unfortunate what happened to Nuwan Tushara. Don't forget, because last over he had four fielders inside that 30-yard circle. 16 runs was conceded in that over. So I think you need to consider that time. I think and maybe give Tushara another chance. But Jack, your thoughts on this comment? I mean, Lahiru Kumara's death bowling has been very poor, and I would give a chance to Nuwan Tushara. Very unfortunate what happened in the final over, and you cannot just drop him from that game itself, from a debut match. That's not the way it goes.
Yeah, that's right. It's only his first game. He's going to be nervous. And,
Yeah.
it's that sort of thing in cricket where you debut, you're in the side for the first time, you want to do well. And in T20 cricket, it doesn't quite go your way. But, it's up to Sri Lanka if they want to give him another go or bring in Kumara if they want. You change up their bowling. Their bowling's not the problem. It's their batting. That's the
Batting.
Yeah,
problem.
always. It's always is. I mean, Jack, in foreign conditions, Sri Lankan bowling is not the problem. They got the assets. It's and Johan, I think, just reinstating my point
Yeah,
and your
yeah.
point,
I think I
Pawan.
also agree with Johan. Yeah, I agree with Johan. I think Avishka should go because his 2020 average, when you go and see Aryan, his average, his strike rate is very, very disappointing. I mean, he has a good strike rate average in domestic, but it's no point when it comes to 2020 internationals. When your average is 15, 16, I mean, it's pointless. I mean, being the team and you're batting at number three also, it doesn't make sense. So I think it's high time for him because highest score 37, average only 12, strike rate under 100. That's not convincing. I think Kusal Mendis and Janit Lianage should be given a go. I think that's enough of Avishka being in the team. I would say he needs to refigure
I
his
think yes.
um,
I think yes. But I want to ask one question aside of the Sri Lanka series, Jack. Uh, if I have been getting opinions about the Punjab side that they've done well in the auction. How do you see these top six? Mayank, Dhawan, Bairstow, Livingston, even a Shah Rukh Khan. So how do you see these top five? If you generally look it on paper, is it a match-winning side for you?
Well, they're all match winners for their
Yeah,
respected countries.
yeah,
But often when you play in a franchise team, it's often hard to gel because you haven't played
yeah,
with them before.
yeah.
So if they can get that right, then if they get it together, then they could be a force to be reckoned with.
Hmm.
So Punjab, what I saw from their squad in this auction, they did quite well, I think, in
Yeah,
terms of the players that they
I
surprisingly.
purchased.
think after a long
After
time
a
they've
long
done
time,
very well.
actually.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
Actually.
agree.
So
But
hopefully for them,
my concern is only backup for the overseas players. Uh, I don't know how
Because
much
I
you
think
guys.
Baristo won't be available. I think Baristo and
Until
Livingston may
no, no,
not
no.
be
I think
available.
he's not available for one game. He's coming 30th March. So even if Punjab don't have a game by that
Hmm.
time, that's. But I'm concerned about Rabada. I don't know. I don't know if Ellis is able to match that. About Rabada and Ellis. I think he'll get 3-4 games if Rabada not there. So
But
I
you
think
guys have Owen Smith, right? I mean, you
we
can
can
have
we have
maybe.
Odin Smith, but again we have to then compensate with Sandeep Sharma and Arshdeep Singh both playing in the 11, which I think might be a bit of a concern because the death bowling then suffers with Rabada not being there. But again, the same thing, batting is strong, but again, I don't know how Odin Smith will go with the ball. Is he a four-over bowler? I don't really know. But overall, good squad. And Jack, which is the best team you thought coming out of the auction out of all 10? When I'm sure you looked at all the squads, right? You know,
yeah, briefly, I was busy on CFA's live stream. If anyone caught that, that was great fun.
yeah, I got it. I got it. Brilliant, brilliant work.
Yeah, it was brilliant fun. So I was watching the auction there with Nick. I briefly looked at the squads, mainly focusing on the Australian contingent, of
Yeah.
course. So I was quite surprised that Tim David got what he got. I think
Oh,
he's a good player, and Mumbai are very lucky to have him. So I think he was the most expensive Australian that was at the auction.
yeah.
Yeah, I think
Um,
David. Yeah.
I think Chennai were a bit disappointing. I heard a lot of people weren't happy with them in terms of their purchases.
I think there were people saying that they were quite happy retaining their core
Hmm.
players. Bringing Uthappa back, and yeah, Deepak Chahar as well. I think not CSK. I would say MI might be disappointed with how they
MI,
were.
see, I think MI considered this year as a one-off, and they'll when Archer and Bumrah are bowling, teams will play 16 overs. They won't play 20 overs. They'll score all the runs in 16 overs because then the last 4 overs you're gone. So next year, MI's problem is again fast bowling. You don't have
Hmm.
anyone to support
Because
Bumrah.
Unatkat, I don't know. Yeah, Unatkat
Yeah,
might be issue with them. I think once again he could be very expensive, especially in the death. So they'll have to depend on both Bumrah and Archer. I mean, this year would be a problem for MI for sure. They're bowling.
yeah. I think one big question every Australian fan is asking is Glenn Maxwell and Faf du Plessis at RCB, two potential captaincy candidates. So, is there a chance RCB might take a punt and Hassan is there, obviously, on Maxwell captaining for the full season? Or do you see Faf du Plessis getting the captaincy? Jack.
It'd be interesting because Maxwell captains for the Stars and he's done an okay job. Duplessis captained South Africa before. So I think they'll probably go with Duplessis because of the experience he has at international level compared to Maxwell. But they may go the other way. They may go with Maxwell. He's got leadership qualities as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what RCB do. Obviously, now since Curley stepped down from the captaincy, you've got to pick a replacement to replace him. It's very hard to replace Curley. So it's either going to be, I think Duplessis is the front runner, and probably Maxwell will be probably the vice captain or something like that. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what they do for this.
And Maddie Wade getting picked up at the end, right at the end by the Gujarat Titans, I think, no?
Who?
Gujarat Titans.
Who?
Matthew Wade. Yeah.
Yeah, at the end, yeah, 2.5, right? Yeah, 2.5.
He can be a really good finisher. They were looking for a wicket keeper anyway, so I think 6 or 5 is it the perfect number for Wade? Coming in 6-5, finishing off games. Anyone can take that. Yeah, Matthew Wade.
I want to ask a question on DC right now. Do you think Mittelmarsh can actually bat at number 5 and be a finisher? Because we have a problem with this number 3, number 4, number 5 right now. Especially, especially this number 5. Do you think Mittelmarsh can actually, because I think before he did play at number 5, if I'm not mistaken, but now he's more suited to bat at number 3. So do you think that he can actually play that finisher's role for Delhi Capitals? Because, I mean, KS Bharat, is more suited to bat at number 3. But I don't know whether bringing Mandeep Singh back at number 5, I'm not really sure because he's not been playing after some seasons. So it's quite of a problem. Do you feel like Mittelmarsh can be a finisher for the Delhi franchise?
Is that me or
Yeah.
It's for you.
me? Sorry, I'm getting lost again. He can be a finisher, Mitchell Marsh. Cast your mind back to that T20 World Cup final against New Zealand. He finished the job off there. And he was good. The first ball he faced, he whacked it for 6 at a Milne off his pads. So he can be a finisher, Mitchell Marsh. He's done it for the Scorchers in the Big Bash. He's won games off his own bat, scoring centuries and 50-plus scores. So he can definitely do it for Delhi. But, the pressure, how will he handle the pressure? It's IPL, different sort of pressure compared to playing for Australia and, that. So if he can handle the pressure well, I think he can finish games off for Delhi. They're going to be very good. This, Warner and him in the side.
Also, captain, do you think David Warner can be captain instead of Pant? I know Delhi might not do that, but do you feel like Warner can captain this Delhi Capital side right now?
Oh, be interesting.
Tough question.
Tough,
I have to ask.
Well, he did captain the Sunrisers there, didn't he? And then obviously that falling out.
And they won the IPL. Yeah, they won the IPL.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. I don't know. Ricky Ponting's coach of Delhi, isn't he? So he may think about it. He may entertain the idea. But if you've got other people who can do the job better than Warner, then go with them. So it's up to Ponting really at the end of the day because he's coach and obviously Warner's Australian. Bit of favoritism there, but if you got other people to do the role,
I would say just let David Warner flow. Why would you want to put captaincy burden on him and just maybe bring his performance down? Anyhow, he's coming from a tough time with SRH. He's had a tough time there for a month or a year or so. So just let him slide back into Delhi. Make him play free for 1 year. And if you're not satisfied with Rishabh Pant this year, there's always the next year to make Warner the captain. He's not going anywhere.
But
So
age will be on his side, right? That's the issue with David Warner.
I think David Warner is supremely fit. Age is just a number again, man. David Warner, at least he's playing this World Cup. He's definitely going to play the next ODI World Cup. That's what I think.
Mm,
But
that's true. That's true.
unless until
Yeah, but
there's
after
a
that,
very bad injury, but until the next ODI World Cup, I think he's fine. He's fine to play cricket. Yeah.
very true. Yeah. So the third 2020 will be in Manuka Oval, Canberra. What will be the conditions? I mean, Jack. I mean, seeing the past 2020 matches in Canberra, do you expect a change? I mean, when it comes to the fast bowling, whether it will assist the spinners. So how do you see the pitch conditions will be over there in Canberra tomorrow?
Judging by what I've seen in Big Bash matches this year that were played there, I think it'll be pretty good all game. I don't think it will
Yeah.
change all that much. Batting's quite good under lights. You got a bit of dew there. Yeah, so it'll be interesting. Yeah, it'll be pretty good for batting, I think. I don't think it'll change
Yeah.
too much because the games I've seen in the Big Bash, teams have done okay there. So I think for this third T20, it'd be interesting to see how both teams approach it in terms of their bowling attacks and the way they set up with their batting orders. But yeah, it'll be good for batting, and I think we could see a high-scoring game maybe.
Yeah.
But you never know in
Johan
cricket.
Yes
Cricket's unpredictable at times.
Johan Yes says no, Du Plessis will get captaincy. Others they won't spend 7 crores of PAP, not 9 crores. Yeah. Yeah, let's see what the RCB management will do. Yeah, but you obviously will feel. I don't think Sri Lanka might have a chance in Canberra. Most probably they'll have a chance at this MCG. I think fourth and fifth. I would say Sri Lanka have a better chance, but it seems like a 3-0 series victory maybe for Australia.
Yeah, it looks like that. But Sri Lanka are showing some promise. At least they're competing. The last game they competed. For them, it's very important for them to treat the next few games in terms of planning forward for that T20 World Cup. Because they're batting in the first game, too many dot balls. The dot ball percentage was too high, and the singles they couldn't work Hazelwood or Cummins or Zampa. They couldn't rotate the strike, pick up twos and threes. Big grounds. The SCG is not a big ground, but when you go to Melbourne, Brisbane, if they play there in the T20 World Cup, I haven't checked their schedules, but you got to run hard between the wickets and pick up those threes and twos. And if they can't do that, they're going to struggle. So for them, it's just about trying to, let's have a look at the areas to improve on. Okay, no one's given us a chance to win this series, and Australia should probably win easily. It's very hard to come back from 2-0 down to win a 5-game series. You have to win 3 in a row. So for them, a good promise, but they've got to tidy up a few areas. Their bowling, their fielding, and their batting. They can't continue on the way they've been going. Otherwise, they're going to struggle in the T20 World Cup and even for the rest of this series. But they've got some promise, Sri Lanka. They've got some talented players there. I can say that. But they just need to back up performances and be consistent.
Be consistent. Also, shout out to Pathum Nissanka. I think he's evolving day by day in the T20 game. He's your main fulcrum in the Test cricket. So if they can keep him at the opening slot, give him chances, he might just produce something that we never expected from him in this World Cup. So yeah, watch out for this guy because he was clearing the boundary easily for such a
And
short
very
guy.
unfortunate he couldn't go under the hammer also in the IPL auctions. That's the very sad thing to say about Nissan.
Too early again, as I say. IPL is a different ball game. There are only a limited number of overseas slots, 80 overseas slots to fill, and so many players. So even someone like a Rahmanullah Gurbaz, Paul Sterling, they don't go sold in the IPL. I think Nasanka is a bit far of a stretch right now. But
and
you never know
surprise.
what's
I was also surprised when Bhanuka was picked by Punjab Kings also. I didn't expect
I
that
was
move to
surprised
happen.
too, but there must be they bought a new analyst. I don't know about that guy who was sitting at the table. He's from Birmingham.
Hmm.
His name is, I don't know, Devon something. I think he had
Yeah.
something to do with the planning. Yeah, so
Hmm.
there must be a plan
Maybe.
behind.
Yeah.
And Bhanuka Rajapaksa, you know better than I do. I think he's a
Yeah.
decent
Yeah.
lad. I saw. I think he can. His name is Dane Weston. Sorry, yeah, Dane Weston. I don't know if Jack has
Yeah.
heard
Maybe
about
he
him or
must have an influence. Yeah, especially the 2020 World Cup that Bhanuka had also, I think that could have influenced that. But then when Charlie Tasalanka also had a very good IPL season, I mean, sorry, World Cup also, and when he was unsold, and then when Bhanuka got sold, that actually surprised me. So, I mean, when Tasalanka, I think Gujarat Titans were very close in my opinion. I think that's why he was brought in that accelerator auction, but unfortunately, he didn't get sold. He was very, very close to get sold to Gujarat. But I think after seeing the first two 2020 matches, I think they decided not to buy Charit Asalanka. That's where the sources are coming from, Gujarat. Yeah, because they were very, very close to buy him. Yeah, but unfortunately they didn't. Yeah. But that comes to the end of our review of the second 2020. So thank you so much, Jack and Aryan and Satvik, who joined us. And
thank
yeah, we'll
you.
definitely do a review of the third 2020 on Wednesday. Yeah, and we discuss a bit of the on the IPL also, my IPL mega auctions that happened yesterday. So please do subscribe to the Sports Breakdown, and please do subscribe to the Dibbly Dobbly Podcast, and subscribe to the Direct Hit Aryan's channel as well, and follow the Dibbly Dobbly Podcast on Instagram also, and the Direct Hit on Instagram, and yeah,
And also, Jack,
and follow. I mean,
congrats
please
on
tune in.
300 subscribers. Well done, well done. Yeah, that's a triple ton
Thank
for
you.
the
Thank you.
DBW podcast.
Yep, we've
Yeah.
reached the triple century, so hoping to knock off Brian Lara's 400 and then his 501. So that'll be the next step for
Yeah,
us.
yeah,
We're just knocking off famous cricketers' highest scores.
yeah.
So,
Mm.
300,
Yeah,
let's get
success.
past, those great cricketers. But thank you for those kind words.
Yeah,
Welcome.
Shankar also says congratulations on 300. And yeah, I don't know why MI didn't go after Asalanka. No Sri Lankan players in Mumbai Indians this time. So that was a bit strange in my opinion. But yeah, that's where MI move forward.
So
Yeah. But
good,
anyways,
mate.
thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. And yeah, see you in the next video, guys. Yeah. And yeah. I'll definitely say, I think it's on the description, Jack's YouTube channel. I mean, the WW podcast. So please do check that out. Yeah. So until then, guys, see you guys in the next video.